Carter from Carter Curricula, where I am on a mission to savor our shared humanity by closely reading dead American poets. It's my assumption that these poets have words that are still around, and these words are wise words. Based upon my observations as well, these words are wise words that are worth our attention and worthy for us to make application of these words for everyday lives. I am under the assumption that literature is most useful when we actually use it. It is most useful when we apply it. So I am of the mind that literature should be used for everyday life. It should be used for our personal growth. And Langston Hughes, we are in Langston Hughes. A New Moon is the title of this text. Langston Hughes, a text that we're taking a look at. We're in a series taking a look at poems between 1921 to 1930, and they come from his collected poems that looks like this. Langston Hughes collection of poems. You can get that from Amazon or any other place that you so choose that sells great literature. The process that we take in this lesson is we're going to take a look at an essential question that I have prepared for us to think through as we look through the text. We're going to then read the text, and then as after we read the text, we're going to do what I think is probably the most important thing about this reading venture is close read this text, figuring out the artistry of the poet, and then we're going to take a look at the theme of the poem, try to couch the poem in a broader context of think through it in a number of different ways. I do have uh, um, 15 ways, a PDF, 15 ways of thinking. I'll link that in the pinned comments. And then last but not least, we will use all of what we know about this poem and make application so that we might be able to live a life of wisdom and hope and connectivity to other human beings as we share this human experience together. So let's go ahead and read it. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at our essential question here. So the essential question for the day is, to what extent are you comfortable with your many sides? To what degree are you able to understand who you are and recognize that you have many sides of yourself? To what extent are you do you accept the part of your life that may not be accepted by society? To what extent do you accept the part of your life that maybe you may have that's sort of looked at or frowned at by your social circles? To what extent do you accept the side of yourself that might be bland or vanilla, um, not much note, not very noteworthy in the eyes of other people, not very sexy in the eyes of society? To what extent do you accept that part of yourself? In this poem by Langston Hughes, I think he gets after that in this poem titled "New Moon." New Moon is a title that he gave to this poem. We'll get into reading it, and then we'll close read it and make some sense of it by identifying some things that we see in here. There, New Moon by Langston Hughes. There's a new moon riding the hills tonight. There's a sprightly young moon exploring the clouds. There's a half shy young moon veiling her face like a virgin waiting for her lover. Oh, I'm going to assume that the moon is one moon. I'm not going to assume that there's multiple moons. I'm just going to assume that even though it seems like this moon has many different sides, that it could be potentially multiple moons, I'm going to assume that it's one moon. He doesn't necessarily call it anything but there's a, right? Doesn't say that there's multiple. There's a. So it seems as if there might be just one. He calls it young moon, young moon. So it's identified as the same moon. So I'm going to assume and I'm going to interpret the rest of the poem as if there's one moon. Notice in the close reading that we did, there's lots of nature imagery. Obviously, the moon, we've got hills, we've got clouds. Um, we've we've got at least those two um, uh, references to nature imagery. This is common in Langston Hughes poetry. He does this in A Negro Speaks of Rivers. He does this in at least one other text. I think the text that we took a look at last time. He did this same thing. He uses lots of nature imagery. In fact, when we're going through Robert Frost poetry at the same time as us going through, we kind of alternate between Robert Frost and Langston Hughes. Robert Frost has the same kind of nature. He's just drawn to nature imagery, drawn to this rural setting. And in the same case, and the same can be true about Langston Hughes. Poets use nature a lot of times because number one, it's natural, right? It's just you look out and then you could see the tree. The tree, if you protect it, water it, put it in a good setting, make sure it gets sunlight, it grows. If you don't do that, it withers away. It's natural. It's natural. And at some point, that tree will die. At some point, when I plant the flowers in the flower bed, they will need nourishment, water, and minerals and light and things like that to keep it to go. But at some point, it's going to die. There's a life cycle for all of these, for the natural world in general. The earth, as beautiful as the earth is, at some point there will be no earth. We don't know when that will be, but at some point things as we see it will not be as they will be, right? So there's everything is fading, is passing away, and that may be one of the reasons why authors oftentimes use nature imagery. In this instance, we have not just nature imagery, we have a personification taking place here. This moon is giving human characteristics, is giving characteristics. It's new, it's young, it's new, it's young, it's writing. As far as I know, moons don't write anything. It's exploring. So in these two instances, the moon is sort of going out and it's sprightly. And that means it's got lots of energy. It's vigorous. It's got some pep in its step. New moon is full of life and full of energy. It is, however, shy. This young moon, which a lot of times young people are, given that characteristic, depending on how young you are, shy, right? Veiling her face. We now see a little bit extra about this particular moon, as although this moon is riding the hills, exploring the clouds, it still has a tendency to veil itself, to cover itself. And it waits for a lover. It's not going out finding a lover. It looks like it's just exploring riding the hills, exploring the clouds. It doesn't seem like the new moon, who is a virgin, is looking for someone. It's actually waiting for someone. So it's almost like it's got polar opposites that are going on in this poem. It's exploring and writing, and at the same time, it's veiling and waiting. So we got this side, I'll just put a plus sign, and this side, the polar opposites. I'm not putting negative and plus because it's a good thing or bad thing. It just is. It just is. There are so we notice from this close reading that there are many expressions of self. The moon has many different sides to it, right, to her. And so from all of this, what I can gather, what I can gain from all of this is is this simple reality right here, is that we should accept our many selves. We all have many sides to us, and that is those things are worthy of our acceptance. This new moon is not bemoaning one aspect or the next. The new moon is just being who the new moon is. And you are a new moon, right? And you can be like this new moon in terms of expressing yourself as you see fit in the given moment. Sometimes you are full of life and vigor. Sometimes you are riding the hills. Sometimes you're exploring, and sometimes you're waiting, and sometimes you're veiling. Sometimes you're covering. And that's okay, depending on what the situation brings. Sometimes, when we're talking about waiting for a lover, it can be a little bit, make us a little bit shy. And so the theme of this is accept yourself, self acceptance for all that you are, anything that you are. The categories of thinking that I want to take a look at today are psychological and teleological categories. Psychological, what mental emotional challenge does the character face? The new moon doesn't seem to face any mental or challenges, but explicitly, but the challenge of being multiple things at the same time might very well be a challenge, which is common in the human experience. What is the character or narrator or speaker in this, or the character in the story or this poem, what is their mental state? Well, they have various mental states. The mental state where they're going out and the mental state where they're withdrawing into self. How do these challenges impact the character's belief and actions throughout the narrative? When that character is shy, it waits. When it's not shy, it's exploring. When it's not shy, it's riding the hills, or she's riding the hills. So however they feel, they do what they feel, right? And so that's the psychological state actually impacts the actions of that character. Teleologically, the goal of the character seems to shift depend and its attitude, its emotions shift as the goal demands. So when the character wants to ride and explore, it goes, right? When the character is feeling shy, it stays, it waits. So teleologically, the goals shift just like the psychology shifts, just like the action shift. The goals tend to shift. How do these goals impact the plot, the character development? The character does show development, right? Because the character has different things that it is doing and different goals that it has in mind. So the character is revealing more of the character's self in this particular poem. Now, what does this poem have to do with you? Like, how do you um, make sense of this poem so that you might be able to live in the light of it, to live with its wisdom? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Let me put my hands up. Put your hands up. And I would suggest that humans are have multiple selves, multiple sides to us. So we just accept those multiple sides. So when you have a feeling that you are wanting to ride and be sprightly, be sprightly. When you have a feeling that you are feeling shy, veil yourself. However you feel, whatever you are thinking is perfectly okay. As long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're not harming others around you, the way you feel is the way you feel. Accept it. Today, when you feel that you are um, not liking an emotional state that you're in, or you're not liking how you're feeling, tell yourself, "I accept myself. I accept myself. I accept myself." Just like the new moon has, and nature itself does not necessarily think, "Oh, I don't like this aspect of myself," or "I like this aspect of myself." It just is. And that's the full acceptance of self that we can also have. Just like the new moon fully accepted herself, so can we. It's natural to accept ourselves, and it's natural to have many sides to us. Accept them. That's all I have for this one. I'll see you on the next close reading, which will be with Robert Frost. See you in the next one.